Ooh, you are right. Harshad, you are right.
Still sweating.
The trend of thrillers has started in this World Cup of
Now you
2020.
can call it the carnival of cricket.
Yep. After 25 games without any thrillers, in the space of 2 days, we have had 2 thrillers. One, South Africa just about winning by 1 wicket. And here, Australia hanging on to the skin of their teeth in a defense of 389 margins. Let's make it big. This is 389 we're talking about, not 289.
When they didn't play the last 4 deliveries of their innings.
49 points.
Australia.
New Zealand, brave New Zealand, have fallen short by 5 runs. Just 5 runs. And remember, they needed 19 of the last over. When Stark bowled those 5 wides, we thought, is a miracle possible?
He didn't bowl 5 wides. It was a wide that went for a boundary.
But it was a bad ball.
Yeah.
Down the leg side, you know how it is that on the outfield it will
was
bounce.
attempting that Yorker, it was just a little on the leg stump.
Of course, he was going for
That
that.
bounced
Yorker.
a lot, otherwise it would not have gone for that 5 wides. That ball bounced a lot.
But before we get into the nitty gritties of the match and the talking points, how are we going to remember this match? So, Shashwat, that one moment for you in this match that you'll always remember.
Rachin Ravindra's batting. For sure.
For me, those 2 stops, one by Maxwell and one by Marnus Labuschagne in the final over, especially on a horrendous outfield. I think that summed up Australianism.
I think, again, for me as well, again, I just couldn't get over that moment. Again, those 2 moments in the field, especially the Labuschagne moment, I would say, because that, again, we were talking about Australia being mentality monsters. That is what you mean by calling them mentality monsters. Giving everything in the field, every ounce of energy that they've got. Australians not giving up till the final ball is bowled, and that for me summed up this game. Australia, you speak so much about how they fight till the very end. Today, yes, they managed to win the game. Yes, they probably could have closed this game down earlier after that wicket of Rachin Ravindra, but well, Australia, this is exactly the reason why you don't want to be facing Australia in the business end of the tournament. You don't want to be facing them in the semi-final, let's say, because that's what this team can do.
But don't you already think about Australia as that fielding unit, because that is Labuschagne and Maxwell's fielding isn't something that surprised me. I feel even if this would have been about 10 overs, I think it would have been the same intensity and the same effort someone like a Maxwell or a Labuschagne would have put.
Disagree. Totally disagree with you, because for 2 reasons. Of Glenn Phillips, Glenn Maxwell dropped a sitter of a cotton ball. Okay, number 1. In this entire tournament, Australia have never done well on the field, especially in India. Look at how it hurt them against South Africa. 3-4 dropped catches and they lost by 134 runs. They lost the game to India when Marsh dropped Kohli. So imagine this fielding unit that is already under such immense pressure. Even here, Maxwell dropped a catch. Here, the outfield is so dodgy, yet they pulled themselves up and ensured that they got to where they were. Had Maxwell and Zampa and Labuschagne decided they wouldn't have fielded, you needed 5 of 2. Lesser of a pressure than you would have needed when you needed 9 of 3. 5 of 3 would have been much easier than 9 of 3. And that's why those 2 runs that Maxwell and Labuschagne saved, worth its weight in gold. Look at the margin you won by, 5 runs. And let us make one more thing clear here. New Zealand, look at every batter. The lowest strike rate is 75. Everybody, 164 from Conway, 130 from Rachin Ravindra, 105 from Daryl Mitchell, all big scores. Tom Latham 95, James Neesham 148.7, but yet another sad chapter is added to Jimmy Neesham's career, because he had the chance, he had to take the 2 runs, but yet again, as Harshit points out, mentality monsters, a great throw, and unfortunately hit it so well that the fielder just...
See, that there wasn't a double there. We knew there wasn't
a double. But he had to come on strike. Because remember, had Bolt taken a single, 7 would have been needed of one ball. He could have hit a 6 to get into the super over.
Like he did in the previous over.
But again, Stark, very difficult. I know he was erratic. He was going all over the place.
Perhaps, more than the run out, what he'd be more gutted with as far as Neesham is concerned is the fact that it was a full toss and he failed to dispatch it. Instead, found the fielder and couldn't complete the runs either. I think he'd be more disappointed with himself.
He wasn't expecting that.
He would have expected, he would have cleared it given the fact that he'd already hit so many boundaries. He'd crossed the 50-run mark. Everything was just, on the platter for him in so many ways. Got a full toss, just, wasn't able to put it across the fence.
But remember, any other opponent would have cowed down in their chase of 389. New Zealand went for it.
Exactly.
And that's why you have to appreciate this New Zealand team. They didn't play audacious cricket. They played clinical cricket right until that last over bit when pressure obviously takes a hold. 19 of 6 on any given day. I mean, let's not look at IPL examples and all that. IPL is fickle, okay? But in an international stage, in the World Cup, it takes a toll. I mean, not many teams can do it. And that's why until the 49th over, they were in with a chance. But Australia's fielding also stepped up when it mattered the most for them.
Exactly.
So that's why Santner, no one could continue. The top order gave them starts, but no one could continue to give them a good score.
I think again, I personally felt, yes, of course, James Neesham took the match to the very last over, but maybe if Tom Latham, I think the turning point for me in this run chase was the wicket of Tom Latham, not even Rachin Ravindra. Rachin was anyway there, but that wicket of Latham had fallen before that of Rachin Ravindra. I think had he been there, and also look at that shot that he got out to, again, those reverse sweeps look very good when they come off. On days when they don't, you're made to look like a fool, and that's pretty much the case that happened with Tom Latham today. But again, otherwise, I think, I'm entertained, guys. I am entertained.
That New Zealand is going to take a lot of confidence from this win, because this loss doesn't really matter to them in terms of the points table, and I think they're going to take a lot from this victory because the batting has genuinely fired today, and now they know that next time they have a total like this on the board, anything less than about over 350, less than approximately 400, they will know that they can go out for that total.
But again,
I think what they've done for themselves today, New Zealand. Let's just go back to yesterday's match, which was another cliffhanger of sorts. Not as good as this one though. But then what did Temba Bavuma say? That they didn't know. They just didn't know the template to go with in a run chase. Now, even though, for two things for me, as far as New Zealand are concerned, two takeaways I would say. One of course is, yes, I know that roadmap now. I have a template. I know that in excess of 350, 360, I have the firepower that I can go as a team and chase it down. Second would be the fact that barring, realizing that I've got the resources, I think it doesn't hurt me right now. It doesn't hurt me right now because I can only take out positives from this match as far as New Zealand are concerned.
But remember, Australia continue the stranglehold. They have never lost to New Zealand and India. Never.
Yeah.
It's now the 10th game. Australia has won 9 of them with no result. So they were so close, just like the mountains in Dharamshala, where you could have at least scaled the summit. There they were just 5 runs away from the summit, and would have been one of the greatest moments, one of the greatest chases in World Cup history had that happened. Yeah. Cricket history, you would have had the second most successful chase in history. So, boy, I mean, New Zealand, great stuff.
Australia did not help themselves much, because I remember the over before the Stark over, where Josh Hazelwood did not try. It's a belter track. You saw how Maxwell and Warner and everyone got into the party as far as Australia were concerned. But Hazelwood wasn't attempting those Yorkers. He was just giving in the arc. You didn't know. After the 4th ball, was the first time when he actually tried that wide Yorker. So it's a flat wicket. You have to do something more than just.
I think Shashwat, the answer to that is due. India game, we could see again those cameras, that camera that goes around in the stadium.
Yeah.
You remember that? We remember that very well. In fact, it was being spoken on the eve of the match as well, that as early as 5 o'clock in Dharamshala, you see dew. Now, the last 90 minutes, 80 minutes or so, let's not forget that Australia were bowling with a relatively wet ball, and the India match, by the way, took place a good 5 days back. Progressively, it's only getting more moist as far as the northern belt is concerned. It's getting colder, it's getting more moist. You didn't want to risk that full toss again, and one of the most biggest crimes you can make against Jimmy Neesham when he's on song is give him something in the arc, which is why I think what Hazelwood I could see was trying to do was just bowl back of length.
See, look at the power hitters in the New Zealand team, the likes of Neesham, Santner. When did they all come? They started coming after 4 p.m. When the lights had already started to take effect. Now, if you had noticed the way how the Aussies were going about it, they were bowling those short, slow cutters. And it stuck on the wicket, and that's why run scoring became slightly difficult. The problem with the Yorker would have been that, perhaps I may overcook the length, may give it a full toss. Santner, Neesham, Phillips, if you look at it, they can do it in that arc and they can hit it out of the park. So that is why I think the Yorker, the Yorker execution at this point in time in cricket, very few are able to nail the Yorker. Stark is considered to be a great.
Even Pakistan struggled yesterday. How many Yorkers did you see from Shaheen? How many Yorkers did you see from Haris?
But
hardly any.
You are already halfway through the tournament. You know it's getting cold in India gradually. I don't exactly remember when was this, but I've heard teams practicing with a wet ball, doing fielding drills with a wet ball, because you know this is something that is going to stay all throughout the tournament if it's not going to increase. You're Australia, you're here to win the World Cup. You have a lot more than enough runs on the board. This is something you should have been prepared for, and that too when you have a total close to 400 runs.
Not easy. I'll tell you why. Because nowadays, because of T20I, what can you do? You can ramp it up. You can ramp the Yorker for a 6 behind the keeper, or it can go to fine leg or third man.
And what are batters doing these days? Look at Neesham, he was batting so deep in his crease. Did you see that?
Yeah, you're making that
exactly. You're trying to nullify that Yorker.
You're making that.
You're going back, trying to make it into a full toss and then whack it wherever you feel like whacking it.
That's the problem. The Yorker nowadays, it needs either tremendous skill or tremendous pace to nail it. I mean, that's the thing. Stark, why do you think he couldn't bowl the Yorkers? Because he tried for one, coming around middle and maybe around leg stump. But the problem is he was just not, the dew did not allow him to. It slipped, and clear that wide slipped from him.
It appears as a safe option going for the Yorker. One, it's anywhere, forget the moist ball or whatever, the wet ball. Even normal ball, dry ball it's a difficult ball to perfect. Second, in these conditions when there's dew that comes into play, again it's easier said than done. Go for the block hole. As a bowler, you're always very circumspect. Again, after that ball that went for a wide and ultimately then for a boundary as well, 4 byes. As a bowler, you're not looking at doing the same thing again because you're not sure. You only feel as a bowler that you've got about 80% hold of the ball, because again the margin of error with the wet ball is such that again the rewards can be plenty, but then the damage too can be huge.
So let's focus on some time on the New Zealand batting. Okay, the likes of Devon Conway, Will Young, all the batters, they stepped up today and ensured that we will go for it. And especially, I'm very, very impressed with Rachin Ravindra. I mean, this World Cup has been something which has been a revelation for him.
While we were talking, I was, on one of my WhatsApp groups, I said that, I think for me, he's the find or the revelation of this year.
I hope the IPL franchises don't go after him, please.
They obviously will.
They will.
Someone was saying in the newsroom that...
No, it was something that was mentioned in the comms as well.
That money is going to rain all over.
I mean, then that's it. His career is on a downward spiral then, unfortunately. Because if you're gotten for big bucks in the IPL, most of the time, 9 out of 10 times you never perform.
And he has even a very impressive strike rate. If he's playing at an average of 72, he has a strike rate of 100. That is not bad at all in any measure.
But look at a certain King, 118 average at a strike rate of 90.5.
We'll look at him tomorrow.
Yeah, Sadira Sabaravikrama, look at 98.3, 106 strike rate. So people are ramping up their average in this World Cup as well as ramping up their strike rate. Look at Klaassen, 149.2.
Going to point that out. Scary strike rate.
This is not T20, folks. This is
Exactly.
ODI cricket. And that is the template. See, higher average, higher strike rate means bowlers are under the pump even more. Batters know that a par score is 325, 350. So they will plan their batting according to that's what New Zealand did. New Zealand blew England away. Against Australia, they had their moments. Somewhere down the line, they bowled 3-4 good balls. That is the reason. I mean, Latham, that sweep, unfortunately, I mean, that was not the bad shot. But then I can sympathize with Latham's shot selection because you needed to go at 388, 380, 89 at that point. You are chasing a big total. You need to do something extraordinary. Not like the one that we saw in the Bangladesh-Netherlands game where, okay, you're chasing 230, one guy attempts a reverse paddle. Oh, trapped LBW. So, nothing of that kind. So, New Zealand's batters, they have set the template that, okay, whatever score you put, we won't get bogged down. And remember, New Zealand have defended also, chased also. Australia now have chased and defended. Only South Africa have chased and defended. Only India remain.
India won
All their games
while
were
chasing.
Yep. Tomorrow, let's see if they do that tomorrow in Lucknow. But I think again, Lucknow will be a bowl first wicket. Anybody who wins the toss will want to bowl.
Again, in the Northern Belt now, I don't think you want to be bowling second now. Not like there's a lot of matches now left. You're looking at the Wankhede, Kolkata, Bangalore being now being the centers in this second half of the tournament. But even in Mumbai, I suspect teams would probably want to be batting second.
Yeah.
They would be.
Again,
but again, Mumbai IPL, if you look at it, don't go by that. Because the teams that are chased in Mumbai, they have lost. It's actually the team batting first who has won in Mumbai. Look at South Africa. They won both their games while batting first.
South Africa are a different story altogether,
Yeah.
I feel right now.
Yeah. But New Zealand, see, this we're lost now. Okay, not the end of the world for them. Their net run rate though has dipped to +4. It's dipped to +4, 0.4. It was plus 0. It was plus 1 point something.
Okay, so that's the updated points table. New Zealand and Australia now both logged with 8 points.
It was 1.4, now it's 1.2.
Having played 6 games each, 4 wins, 2 losses for both of those teams, 8 points as I said. A positive 1.232, that's New Zealand's net run rate. As far as Australia are concerned, they've done themselves some good here by firstly
In fact,
winning.
lot of good.
Yeah.
Because from 0.4, they have gone to 0.9.
0.97.
Or no, I am mistaken. No, I'm totally mistaken. It was plus 1.1. It's dipped to my plus 0. Yes.
The margin is really close.
Because the margin was close. That's why. But now, the most important thing is South Africa, India, New Zealand, Australia. There is daylight now.
Yeah, exactly. I was going to
It's
say that.
now 4-4-4-2.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you're just halfway through the tournament, and I feel you already have your top 4.
2015 for semi-finalist.
Yes. It can happen yet again.
Yeah.
2015.
No,
South
I
Africa
think
took on
India-
New
I
Zealand,
think
India,
India
Australia.
finished on the top of it.
Okay, so if India finished on top, Australia, see, they now have one very important game. That's it. That's against England on 4th November. That will probably determine where they finish.
Even so, what are South Africa's next few games?
South Africa will take on India now on 5th November.
Their next game is against India. They have
First
won before
versus
that.
New Zealand.
See,
Pune.
this could in fact turn things around for both the teams. Either of them winning, the other one
We'll have
progresses.
one foot inside the top.
Exactly.
Yeah. India and
Even it could be a direct swap. Let's say if New Zealand are to win against South Africa, then New Zealand go above South Africa.
not necessarily net run rate.
Then net run rate will come into
No,
play.
they're way ahead in net run rate.
But South Africa are
Plus 2.0.
Who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows with New Zealand?
See,
Yeah.
supposing, let's assume there are now two very important, you may say one important table churning game. New Zealand versus South Africa, followed by England versus Australia. There you are going to see some churning in the table. If New Zealand win, they'll get to 10. But that means the likes of Pakistan, England, whatever it is, mathematically also they're done. They can't get there.
So basically, South Africa is to play New Zealand and India in the remaining 3 out of the.
And one is against Afghanistan.
Now basically teams like Bangladesh, Pakistan, Sri Lanka who are there in the running, not Bangladesh necessarily, Pakistan, Sri Lanka, what they need is, if they are to sneak into the top 4 somehow, they need teams that are right up top 1 and 2 to be where they are, keep winning, but the other 2 teams, place 3 and 4, must lose for them to now sneak in.
For Pakistan and England, they need New Zealand to lose all the games. Because if New Zealand lose all their games, Australia win their next 3, then South Africa, India, Australia are confirmed.
By the way, looking at New Zealand, we were talking about it, how, they've had they had the best fixture list, if you ask me, when you're looking at the fixtures. Australia had, I think, the toughest. New Zealand had the most likable, I would say, fixtures. Now for New Zealand, and we were talking about how they still have to play tougher opponents. Yes, they played India. Yes, they played England. Yes, they played Australia today, but they have some tough fixtures lined up as well. Now, what has happened now with New Zealand is they've lost 2 on the trot now. They've lost to India, now they've lost to Australia. Going forward, I'm just saying, if there is a 3rd straight loss for New Zealand, who are they playing next?
See, New Zealand are facing South Africa in Pune.
See?
Then they take on Pakistan on 4th.
Yeah.
And their last game is against Sri Lanka. So, if you look at it, the South Africa game is the ultimate churner.
Exactly, and it's the next match. Now, I'm just saying, if New Zealand are to lose their next match,
and they also lose to Pakistan.
Would you not think that the cat's been set among the pigeons?
As I had said, they have a very big, you may say, banana skin against South Africa and Pakistan.
Yeah, if they end up losing both the games, it would get really difficult for them.
Then that is.
Then they'll win, even if they win, they have the last game against Sri Lanka.
See.
They'll stop at 10.
They'll stop at 10. Now the thing is, if they lose all 3, okay, Pakistan's next fixtures are actually good. They take on Bangladesh. Then they take on New Zealand. If they win both, and if New Zealand lose all, and England also lose, then Pakistan-England becomes a virtual quarterfinal. Because they will then have to, that's on 11th.
You're saying Pakistan wins all, England wins all, and New Zealand loses all.
England can't win all because Pakistan-England plays.
That's the last game, right?
Yeah,
just
second last.
The Pakistan-England game, if both the teams are winning all, and New Zealand have lost 2 of their last 3 games, then you're saying it could be a shootout between England and Pakistan.
Pakistan, most likely Pakistan.
So this win, Australia's win, has actually gone in favor for someone like a Pakistan
Yes.
and England.
Yes.
Who might just be still have their.
The only
They
team.
might still just be breathing few more.
The only team that can upset the entire apple cart now, because they're right in the midst of it, is Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka can be the party poopers then, because they will take on New Zealand in one game, that's on the 9th, but they face India. But they can dent the other team's prospects also. That's why. So it is going to be a real dogfight for number 4. Number 4 will be most likely that position where you will really fight now, because top 3 looks certain. I think New Zealand, if they beat South Africa, then your top 3 certain.
But anyhow, coming back, we've discussed enough about the points table. Let's talk about, and maybe I think, the Australian side, we've talked about how good a fight New Zealand gave over here. But speaking about Australia, started their campaign on a woeful note. Again, 2 early losses for them. Everyone was thinking, it's all doom and gloom for Australia, early exit and whatnot. But Australia making the noise and again showing the world that, listen, we're 5-time champions for a reason. And look at the victory margin today. It's 5 runs. You didn't see those hits coming from Pat Cummins. It's that hitting towards the end from him that made the difference.
It did, 37 of 14. But remember, Australia will be very worried that they didn't bat out a full 50 overs. Imagine if they had batted the full 50, they could have had a bigger margin of victory. But again, the problem is 5 runs. There is actually nothing much to, apart from 2 points, actually, there is not much that both teams have gained. They have actually had more worries. Australia, they have huffed and puffed to defend 388. It's not 288, 388. That's a problem. New Zealand is wondering how come our bowlers fell short on the day. Bowling is a concern for New Zealand, same with Australia, because the wicket was so flat.
The wicket was again. So that let's be let's just go back because again we know how good a bowling unit New Zealand are. I think again today the conditions were just so flat because I don't think the Australians were doing anything different today or were really had really changed their approach or anything. Today the two just made batting look so easy because it was just so easy to pick and hit through the line. Look at the shots from David Warner and Travis Head. This, they weren't doing anything different if you ask me, and neither were all those balls terrible balls from the New Zealand bowlers. And not everyone can be having a bad day, let's say.
Yeah.
I think today was just a case of it being flat conditions.
And I also feel for Australia, I feel such wins, a team like Australia, such a close win, when you have such a close win, I feel such wins just get you together as a team, and they might just end up taking a lot of confidence from this win. And also, we should not forget, I remember sitting here when Australia had lost their second match on the trot. You were the one who said that they have never qualified after losing 2 games. Now they are here. And also, not to forget, Pat Cummins, there were a lot of questions on his captaincy. Now he is not looking he's not looking lost on the field. I saw him talking to Steve Smith a couple of times for his advice and everything. So Australia are looking and are gradually getting to their best.
But again, Steve, if you're saying that Pat Cummins is talking to Steve Smith, that means Steve Smith continues his white anting. You know what is white anting? There is a captain on the field, but someone else takes that responsibility.
No, but even in the Indian
Proxy
side,
captain.
Yeah.
Even in the Indian side, you see Rohit Sharma talking to someone like
At least
Virat
Rohit
Kohli.
Sharma holds his own and he makes the decisions. It's not influenced by Virat
No, but
Kohli.
right now we don't know. Right now we don't know if Pat Cummins is being influenced or not.
Like
You
you
can-
can say this about Rizwan and Babar when you see that Rizwan is making that call, but here it's very different.
It is not without anything that the Australian media has stated. It happened in the Border Gavaskar Trophy also. It happened there that Steve Smith was white anting Pat Cummins. Check that out. Read that. It's not come straight out of the blue. It's happened in the past. So there are 2 major issues for both teams. One is the bowling and one is the fielding. Today, New Zealand's fielding, had they caught their catches, they could have probably overhauled the trophy.
That's right. That's right.
But I've seen all the teams fielding bad at the Dharamshala field. It was even India wasn't good at in their fielding in Dharamshala. Even New Zealand, Australia today, New Zealand again today. So,
But I must say, speaking of that Dharamshala outfield, as cricketing giants, that field makes us look bad. Simple as that.
It's the last game that you had in Dharamshala.
Yeah, and
And
you
somehow,
can't put international players through that.
somehow, some way, huffing and puffing, you managed to stage all games in Dharamshala. But yes, it's not a good advertisement. I mean, the stadium is magnificent, facilities are excellent, but at outfield, I'm sorry, if there is one thing which everybody in Dharamshala is disappointed with, it's that outfield.
I was worried for Daryl Mitchell, Glenn Maxwell, Manas, Labuschagne, all the time that
Mitchell Marsh.
when their knee got stuck, I was worried each and every time.
But okay, see, all these kind of things, it's, if you think, oh, it happens only in India, no, it's happened even in Australia also. Perth, I remember, Waka, Johnson was going for a dive, his knee jarred, and then luckily nothing happened, but it was a sick sight to see. Brisbane, Simon Jones, the knee got jarred there also.
Oh yeah,
Simon Jones, yes. In lot of venues in, you may say in India, this has happened in the
But
past.
Siddharth, the only thing being you had a lot of time. You knew the World Cup was going to happen here. You relayed the track and whatnot.
Except for Dharamshala. Dharamshala didn't get time.
No, but you relayed the outfield.
But again,
not near the World Cup, but
you also, last moment in that Australia series, you said, okay, we're not ready to host the match. Then that match was then shifted. Again, I just feel this could have been better prepared, should have been better prepared.
Yeah, but they didn't have time. So that's why that's the current situation that we've got. So New Zealand continue their winless run against Australia and India. It's 9 losses out of 10. Australia, on the other hand, 5-run victory margin in a thriller. Second consecutive thriller that we have had. Maybe you could have a third with Bangladesh doing Bangladesh things, struggling against the Netherlands.
they're 2 down.
They're 2 down, exactly. And I think they're going to make a meal out of this chase of 230. So Thank you so much, folks. We'll be back for the dugout very shortly in the next 5 to 7 minutes. Stay tuned. From me, Harshit and Shashwat. Hey, it's bye-bye. See you.